Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Pentecast podcast. My name is Andrew Bella. Alongside me is my good friend, Ryan Sellers.
Good morning.
Good morning. We have in studio today none other than our good friend, Andrew Parker. Welcome to the podcast, man.
Glad to be here.
Everybody hold your plates up so the people that are viewing this YouTube video can see what my wife has done for us. She has made us some heavenly dessert so we can drink some coffee, hang out with each other, talk about the Lord, hang out with some friends, hunters in the room. However, due to low how do I put this? Due to a low budget, we couldn't afford one of our cameras to break. So
Well put.
we didn't want him in the view, but he's here hanging out with Andrew. Brother Andrew, you have not been on the podcast yet, and so I want to say welcome. Thank you for coming, hanging out with us this week, and just being a part of the podcast.
We've had a great time, enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely. So for everybody that wants to know what Brother Andrew Parker has been doing for us here on the podcast, we've mentioned him a few times in our episodes, but this weekend, Brother Andrew helped us install the mini split unit in our building that is almost done. And so while he was around, he preached for the church, did an outstanding job this weekend. And I said, hey, man, you need to stick around because we're going to be doing something pretty awesome. So stay tuned because we have something really, really awesome at the end of this episode and that actually involves Brother Andrew. If you remember back several weeks now, the story of Heather Cooney, Ryan and myself have talked about it over and over and over again. I've listened to the episode a bunch of times. It's over 3,000 views now on YouTube, which is incredible. None of that would have been possible had you not given me a phone call. And so that Heather is your sister-in-law, right?
Yes.
When you called me, I'm kind of like nervous with people that I don't know. And maybe that sounds, I don't know. I don't want it to sound bad, but it kind of does because you never know. You know, you get some crazy person like, I don't know, like me, like an Andrew Bella. And, you know, they embarrass you or maybe they have a cool story or an awesome story. They just don't know how to convey it. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so when Heather came, literally, and we've hashed this over and over again, Ryan and I met her the minute she walked into the room.
Yeah.
And that was our first impression of her. And I'll be honest with you, I was absolutely floored. I really was with her, the way she carried herself, just her grace. And so you've known her ever since you got married into that family of 10. So,
Well, I was actually in her and Matt's wedding, so about almost a year longer than I've been married.
oh, okay.
15 years.
Wow. And so it was because of you that we even had that episode. And when we recorded it, you were in there. You were a bag of tears just like the rest of us. Her story's amazing, man.
Absolutely.
It really is. And so, of course, we're not going to hash out her story again, but I think it's really, really awesome how you, instead of thinking of something that you could come on the podcast and talk about, you thought of somebody else. Yeah. And I think that really shows the kind of character that you have. A selfless individual sits before us tonight, drinking a cup of coffee with us, who took the time out of his day or the weekend, Ryan, to come and put in a AC unit. He thought he was going to be doing it for free, but thank the Patreons and everybody else that supports the podcast. He didn't do it for free, thank the Lord. And
Well, he had some great helpers in us, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know that we held a screwdriver for him.
I know I did.
Wonderful supervisors.
We did take a picture of a circuit board for him.
Yeah. Well, and he said that was my only job, you know.
Well, I don't think he trusts us.
No, he doesn't.
Rightly so.
Well, I think, you were kind of busy doing your deer doings.
Well, yeah.
And
I trusted you with my pork chop.
That's exactly right. Well, Andrew was
You're
like,
not-
look, you don't
you're
need
not
my help.
dead yet. So.
Well, he's like, look, I don't need his help right now installing this AC unit, which he is a OCD perfectionist.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful
it
work.
is. It is, but it's like irritating because then he's doing things that I didn't notice. And I'm like, man, I thought I was perfect. I'm not, you know.
I'm not.
So Andrew was like, look, we don't need his help right now installing this air conditioner unit. We need his help tonight when we go to his restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And so thank you, Ryan, for
Welcome.
cooking us some good food. Brother Andrew Parker, one thing about you that I wanted to mention in this episode before we get on to the fun stuff. Me and Ryan, we're sort of popular now, you know. Actually,
For all the wrong reasons.
we're probably notorious now. We were popular, but now we're notorious. We are we're the rough edge of the plywood. We're not the straight edge. You know what I mean? We have some things that the Lord's working out of us, and we're not ashamed to admit that. And some of those rough edges might be smoothed out had I went to Bible college. Maybe not. Maybe I would have got kicked
Probably
out.
not.
But you went to OBI. And not only did you go to OBI, you weren't like my mom and dad that went for 12 months, found a wife or a husband, and then left. You were there for all 4 years. So what was your experience there?
It really brought me out of my shell. I was always a bashful, backwards person, and the summer after I graduated high school, at youth camp, the Lord called me to preach, and I come home from that youth camp that summer and told my mom and dad, I said, if I'm going to preach, I need to go somewhere, to help me open up, get me out of my shell.
You knew yourself.
And it was there or export, and I told them, I said, whichever one's the closest we'll go to.
Where were you? You were born here in Georgia, right?
I was born in Albany, Georgia.
Okay.
At that time, my dad was pastoring over in West Alabama, and when I looked at the map, Missouri was closer than Pennsylvania, so that's where I went.
Yeah.
And it was it was a wonderful time. I got out of my shell. All 4 years I was involved in ministry there. 2 years I done choir, 2 years I done outreach, and in the summers, they had a summer group, and 2 years I was in summer group. So I told them I'd done a little bit of it all.
So you actually were backward? Like you were very, very shy?
I was very shy.
Really? I never knew that.
Absolutely.
So was I. So how did you get out of it?
You've never been shy.
I hate talking to people. I mean,
I can't believe it.
no, I used to. I mean, it's fine
okay.
now. But like in testifying and stuff like that, I used to hate it, dread it. So did Bible college get you out of that shell, or
It did. It helped me. It was let's see, the first November I went to Bible school. Actually, it was in the convocation in October. There was a pastor come up to me. I was outside helping park cars for convocation. And he said, "You're a preacher, ain't you?" I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "You've never preached before, have you?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "Well, how can I get you to come to my church?" He said, I want you to come to my church. We love first-time preachers." And I was like, "Well, I'm in the outreach." I told him who to talk to. It was about, 2-4 weeks. It was within a month. We was in Sullivan, Missouri at, can't think of the name of the church, but it's in Sullivan, Missouri.
who's the pastor?
Brother Dale Graham was the pastor.
He gave you your first opportunity.
First opportunity. He's passed on now. I know his son is there now. But I preached there. I think it was 7 minutes, and he recorded me and put me on the radio on Sunday morning.
Really? What'd you preach? What was your first message?
It was something about Peter. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember him telling me at the end it was 7 minutes long. So
Wow.
Anyway, but had a great time. Met a lot of folks and people I still know today, friends and acquaintances, and just had a great time. If I had an opportunity to do it all over again, I'd do the same thing.
Well, let me ask you this then, okay? And Ryan, you jump in, okay? Is Bible college for everyone?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Explain yourself.
My freshman year of Bible college, I believe we started off with somewhere around 50. In 4 years' time, we weeded that number down to just over 10.
That's people who were going, gave up.
Well, some people go, like you mentioned your mom and dad, some people go for 1 year. That's all they ever have intentions of going. When they start, that's all the intentions they have is I'm going for 1 year. And 1 year's not bad. It's a good time to get away.
They just like going to clear their heads or
Right,
find
maybe.
direction.
That's
or
right,
something
to
like
get
that.
some direction. And I don't, I'm not against that. I think it's great to, some people need to go to like a Bible college before they go to any kind of secular college just to get some biblical understanding.
Yeah, Brother Ryan Ralston brought that up when we were over there at Heritage, and that I thought was, I've never been, people who probably listen to this podcast think, or more than likely think, this guy he just hates Bible colleges. I don't, but I want to have a reason for everything that I do. Yeah. And if it's just go to Bible college because that's what people do, that's not a smart thing to do.
Right.
But when Brother Ryan Ralston mentioned that, go to get a better biblical understanding, so when you do go to a secular college, you're not a liberal when you get out.
That's right.
Or
backslid.
Or backslid, which
right? I'm not a preacher. I did go to college for 8 years. Brother Ryan's program didn't exist when I was in school, but I can see now that I would have greatly benefited from that 1 year program.
You went to college for how long?
8 years.
And it was
and I'm still broke.
You're not a doctor?
Mm-mm.
No.
Just a dummy.
Yeah, he went for musical arts, so, I mean.
I went to college for 8 years, and I'm still flipping burgers for a living.
Let that be a lesson to you young
That's
people.
Right. Goals.
So you say it's not for everybody, and I agree with you. You have to have purpose for whatever you do. And I would say this, another thing about the whole 1 year program at Heritage that I liked for the young people was that you don't have to be a preacher. You don't have to be a deacon. You don't have to be whatever. You can literally just
be a Christian.
Be a Christian and learn, right?
Right.
Build a foundation.
That's right. Everybody needs a good, solid biblical foundation. We're all going to be tested by someone. We, in our workplaces, we live in a time where there's always somebody that's going to test you. They want to test your knowledge. They want to test your doctrine, your understanding about things.
Your temperament.
That's right. They want to. Yeah. We live in a world where people want to see you fall.
Mm-hmm. Oh, trust me, do I ever?
People want to see you fail. And, if they can question your faith, if they can question your experience with God, and you can't give them a straight answer, what are they after?
Well, your witness is of no effect if you don't know anything about the Bible. If it's, just mom and dad this, mom and dad that, that's bogus.
Right.
I mean, you got to have something bigger and better than that, And Robbie, my boss, always says this, and I love this. He says, your life is your testimony. People read your book every single day.
Yeah.
They don't care. Honestly, people don't care if you can quote the 12 disciples. People do not care if you can quote Scripture back to back, although it helps you as the individual. But people want to see the gospel according to your life.
Right.
And we're human. We mess up. We fail. We falter. Like you said in your preaching this weekend, we're not Calvinists. We don't believe that you get saved and it's just, it's like a get out of jail free card, for the rest of your life. There's things that you got to work out. When you find yourself drifting like you preached, you got to draw yourself back in. It's a work, this salvation. It's a work. And so we're not saved by works. We're saved by grace. However, you have to want to go. You have to want it. Exactly. And so people are reading your book every single day when we walk to our jobs. And so, OBI, these other places, they're a really good place to get your footing, and get grounded in what you believe, your faith. And I think that we don't need to discount that. And I'm totally not against these colleges or whatever. However, I do like the idea of having them to be credited, if that's what somebody wants to pursue.
Right.
So the trap that people get in with these whole colleges or whatever you want to call it is that they have like 2 or 3 jobs after they get out of the Bible college, and then that's it. You only can be a preacher, an evangelist, or a pastor's wife, or a pastor, or something like that, or else pretty much Bible college was a fail, And I totally disagree with that. I think that, ministry is a podcast. Ministry is you working on your job, doing your service calls. You're an HVAC guy, electrician. These people that you come in contact with every single day of your life, that's your ministry, right?
So many times I feel like people get the misconception of ministry. Just like you mentioned, a pastor, deacon, Sunday school teacher. Ministry goes much further than the 4 walls of our church. It is your daily witness. It is like me and you was talking yesterday while I was working.
While you were working.
Folks, let me clarify. This is going to air on a Monday. We were not working on Sunday.
Me and you
Brother Andrew Parker may have been, but I wasn't. I can promise you that. So,
just as me and you was talking Saturday while we was working, the job that I have at this moment that I told you, it's ending soon. Since I have not been pastoring, I took this job just a few months after I left my last church pastor and felt like the Lord was done with us there. And it is helping people that don't have the ability to help themselves rebuild houses, and it's through a nonprofit organization. And I felt all along for the last year and a half that has been my ministry, because I've been able to talk to people about the Lord.
For sure.
This last week, I had a contractor that worked for us. He is not saved. He has a pretty filthy mouth. A lot of construction workers do, unfortunately. But he got bit by a snake, a copperhead.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
And I told him, right away, he called me and told me what happened. I said, look, you take care of yourself, and we're going to be praying for you. And right away, I could tell his countenance changed. I've never been able to talk to him about prayer. I've never been able to talk to him, but I was like, look, we're going to be praying for you. I hope you get better. And I've been checking on him, and he's doing much better now. I'm not certain that he's out of the hospital, but, all of this, I've been able to be a witness to people.
Yeah.
And just because you come out of a Bible college, or just because God calls you to preach, you preach when you have an opportunity. But you preach every day.
Doesn't necessarily mean that it's behind a pulpit.
That's absolutely
correct. Or that you're wearing
correct.
a suit,
I remember there was a saying on the Bible school walls, and I've said it many times, and I've heard others say it. The saying was, preach, how does it say? Preach every day, use words if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. I like that.
And I'm not
preach every day, use words if necessary.
Yeah. So ministry is not always a pulpit. It's ministry is cleaning the bathroom toilets at church.
Yeah.
Ministry is running the bus. Ministry is street. Brother Tyler Sage.
Yeah,
He's
doing
got
up there
a
in McRae.
street ministry.
He's doing a great job.
Awesome.
As well. Yeah.
We seem to have a tendency to narrow ministry down to the church.
And who can do it.
Exactly. But ministry is much more than the church. That's just a
big time.
portion.
I agree
We're
with
a
you.
body of Christ. We don't need to be so handicapped that the church is the only place we minister.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to reach out other places.
Yeah, there's different avenues and stuff. And I think that and I don't want to brag on what we're doing here, Ryan, but I think that we've been able to exploit that here on the podcast. That hey, you don't need a congregation or fancy suits to impact people's lives.
No.
Heather Cooney, her episode has impacted just by giving her a platform. Somebody that maybe wouldn't have got a platform on a podcast or something. we made that available to her. And man, she is, I mean, everybody I talk to, they can't watch that episode without crying. Brother Jonathan Prickett, he's a pastor, but yet people that don't know him, they come on and they listen to his which he's your pastor right now, right. There at Colquitt. He comes on and he talks about just being a level-headed, common-sense Christian, you know, and he helps people. These testimonies that we've aired, Ryan, over the course of a year, each individual it's unique, and they help people. We're giving people a platform to tell their story because you, Andrew Parker, can reach people that I'll never be able to reach. Ryan Sellers reaches people that I'll never be able to reach. So if we get in this mentality that the ministry can't go on without us, or the ministry has to be what we think in our mind, man, God is so much bigger than that. He's so much bigger than what we can comprehend in our minds. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Absolutely. When I was a pastor and I tried to get that across to church members, there is people that church members will be able to reach that the pastor will never be able to reach. That's the reason we all need to pull together and work together as a body of Christ and believers.
Yeah.
It's not about building up ourselves of how many people we've won to the Lord. It shouldn't be.
No.
It's about building up the kingdom of God.
Yeah. And trying to help somebody along the way. Because let me tell you something. If you haven't found yourself in a ditch lately, you will eventually.
Absolutely.
You are going to need someone to help you
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah. And to your point, Brother Andrew, we've seen it through this COVID pandemic. You know, when churches had to shut down there for a little while, a lot of us went to Facebook Live or the equivalent. I would watch that thing, and you could see who was watching. You could see who was viewing it, who was liking the episode.
Right.
They'll never come through the doors of the church, more than likely. But they're sitting there listening to God's word be preached, and it's touching their heart, and we'll really never know
you never know
what's really been accomplished.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%. And so, like Brother Andrew just said, the ministry is not about building yourself up or you know, making something of yourself. And so, with that said, this is an exciting moment for the podcast, okay, guys? And so, to those that are viewing this podcast right now and those that are listening, you are fixing to experience something amazing that me and Ryan have been working behind the scenes on. And this podcast is a ministry, and we want to help as many people as we can. That's been our vision. That's been our goal from day one, Ryan. And what we wanted to do is to help financially, whatever we could do, with the help of you that view this podcast, you that listen to this podcast, and especially those that have supported it, the patrons from day number one, all of you that have sent money, love, support. Let me tell you something. We're giving that back to the community, and we're helping people each and every chance we can. So with that said, we're fixing to do something, and we're going to include you guys on this. And so you're not going to be a stranger anymore to what happens in the ministry, but you're going to be a part of what we do here on the podcast. We're fixing to call somebody and make an announcement, and it's a familiar voice that you're going to remember. But because it's not about me, and because it's not about you, Ryan, the man that made it all possible, God, is going to get all the glory. But the servant that he so chooses to use is Brother Andrew Parker. He's going to make a phone call to a familiar person.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Hello,
Is this Sister Heather Cooney?
this is Heather.
The one and only.
How are you doing?
Oh my goodness, I'm sitting here in the chair, got my feet propped up.
Oh, you
Hoping
lucky.
this wasn't going to be a video call.
Hey, you were good as gold. You did great. And
Yes, you did.
hey, your friends in Georgia actually really miss you. Our ratings have tanked since you left the show, so we're trying to see if you would locate down here and be a regular on the show.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness.
Is everything going
Y'all,
good?
This has been the most crazy thing I've ever experienced. The feedback has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
I can honestly say that the day that it aired, okay, y'all, I'm not going to lie, I wouldn't look at it for several hours.
I looked at it every 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. I wouldn't even look at it because I was like, oh my word, because then it's like this overwhelming feeling of being so vulnerable and afraid and scared to death. Y'all, I wouldn't even look at it.
Yeah, now it's over 3,000 views on YouTube.
Pretty much viral.
Right?
Yeah, you're
You've
way
gone
more
viral.
popular than us. They're like, oh, it's
Oh my word.
yeah.
Y'all.
They sit in their living rooms like, oh, honey, it's just those two idiots. She's not on there again. But it sounds like you're doing really good.
Yeah, we're doing pretty well.
It's so good to hear your voice, Heather. As you may know, I think we're officially Facebook friends now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we have made it official.
Yeah, and I was...
Y'all, and I can honestly say I've become a fan of podcasts.
Good. Hopefully only one.
Yeah.
Well, I have become a fan of two.
If Pod and Me's the second one, I'm hanging up the phone, Heather.
Oh my word, y'all! I listened to their latest this morning, and I just couldn't help but laugh.
Yeah, they're a mess. They sure are a mess.
But Heather, after I accepted your friend request, I scrolled your page and I found Matt's memorial service, and I watched the whole thing at 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, sitting in my driveway, and it was just such a blessing to me. And you portrayed him perfectly. I finally got to see the man, the myth, and the legend in the flesh, and saw the videos, of him just being Matt Cooney, as you call him. And I thought the video that you put together was beautiful. The words of wisdom and the preaching that were included were perfect, and it touched my heart at 1 o'clock in the morning way down here in Georgia.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
And actually, Ryan, you brought to remembrance something that somebody told me, and I wanted to share this with you, Heather. One of mine and Ryan's really good friends who actually goes to our church, Brother Kyle Day, he called me, I think it was a week or two ago, and he said, man, the craziest thing has just happened. And I said, what is it, Kyle? He said, I'm in South Carolina working on a guy's house. He does house repairs. And he's a Native American. And I said, what about it? He asked him what tribe he was from. He said, well, I go back into to North Dakota a lot. He says, I'm a Sioux. And he said, yeah, you're Pentecostal. He was talking to Kyle about it, said something like that. He said, yeah, there's a brother that I know out here. He just passed away, I think, last year. And Kyle blurted out, he goes, Matt Cooney. He said, yeah, how do you know him? And he said, I heard his wife's testimony. Yeah. He said, what a small world. Some random guy, he's working on his house, and he knew your husband. So you obviously...
Oh, my word. You didn't get a name?
No, but I can. But he... just the way you portrayed him, your story was just amazing. It really was. Aww. So we have a special guest here. We just did a podcast with your brother-in-law, but he wanted to say hello to you. So we want to give him the floor here.
Hello, Heather.
Oh my goodness! Hey, Andrew.
How does it feel to be live on Pentecast podcast tonight?
Well, I
morning.
Just love the Pentecast podcast. I can honestly say I love it.
What episode is your favorite?
Y'all, I have gone through, and I think I have listened. Y'all, my son is wanting to say hi. He has become a fan himself.
Well, tell him to say
hi.
hello. Hey, buddy.
Hey,
hi.
chat.
I'll sign your forehead when I see you, son.
He's become a fan this morning. He was listening along with us, or with me. I woke my whole family up, I think, listening to y'all's latest with brother Andrew's pastor.
Yeah, Brother John. Yeah, his was great.
So, well, I'm glad you're doing well, Heather. They had something that they wanted me to be in. I guess they wanted me to be in on this phone call tonight. since your podcast, there has been a lot of folks that has been touched by your testimony. And sorry. But a lot of people's been touched by your testimony and wanted to try to help you and do what they could to be a blessing to you. And so from the listeners of the Pentecast podcast, they have raised $8,500 on your behalf to give to you to help in your need. And they wanted me to, I guess since I was the one that introduced you to them, they wanted me to be the one to tell you this news.
That's going directly to you, Heather.
Well, thank you, guys.
Yeah, it's actually just the family of God. You can thank everybody, not just Ryan and myself. We played very, very small roles in it, but what you can do is you can continue to thank the family of God for pitching in and helping you, because we're all here for you. We're all rooting for the Cooney family, and we're rooting for your success. And so what the family of God has done is they've put their money where their mouth is. And so thank you for sharing your testimony. And we just want to thank the Lord for everyone that donated every dime, every dollar. So,
Absolutely.
So $8,500 is going straight to Sister Heather Cooney. So congratulations.
Oh, my goodness, you guys. Thank you guys so much. It brings tears to my eyes.
Well, we're sitting here crying too. And your sister is in the room with us just listening. She's not talking, and she's crying as well.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, so maybe
it's simply unreal to me how God just works in mysterious ways, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
What did you say when you recorded with us? One thing you've learned is if you'll be faithful to Him, He'll be faithful to you.
Yeah.
And God's people are faithful, as you know. And this is just a testament to that fact.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We don't have any stones to throw today at the people of God. They've been the people of God are those that are going to lift their hand out and try to help you up when you fall, when you make a mistake, but also just when you get hit with tough blows from life. The family of God are those that come to your rescue. And so that's what they've done for you, Heather. So God bless you. We're so thankful for what He's doing in your life, and we look for an update in live person. So save about $50 to $100 to get some fuel in your car and get down here to help our ratings once again.
I hope to definitely. Last night I seen that picture that Andrew sent, and I was like, oh my goodness, I wish I could be there so bad.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, just get in your car and bring the family.
Yes, I definitely will do it as soon as I can. I promise you that much.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds great.
Well, God bless you, Heather. It was so good to hear from you again.
Yes.
It was good to hear from you guys.
All righty. Take care.
Right. We love you.
Bye,
Have a good one,
Andrew.
Heather. Bye-bye, Heather. Love you.
Bye.
And so that's what the ministry's always been about. And if you can help somebody in need, that's all that really matters, Andrew. It's all that really matters.
That's right.
And so I want to say a huge thank you to each and every person that gave in a donation to help Sister Heather Cooney. And we're going to make sure that every dime gets put right in her hand to help her with her needs. Thank you again for joining us on this episode of the Pentecast podcast.
We love you. Have a great week. Over and under.